Hey there, StarCraft fans! It's Falcon Paladin coming at ya with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered! Today, it's going to be a match between IdrA and LeeCheaYoung here on Match Point. Bottom left-hand corner is the Red Terran player IdrA. And in the top right-hand corner, it is the Purple Zerg player LeeCheaYoung. We're going to call him Lee from now on. He asks if IdrA is the CJ Yentas gamer, and IdrA says no. Which, I'm pretty sure is not the case, IdrA. Come on, man. Let's be honest here. Let's be honest with our opponents. IdrA. See? I'm an IdrA fan. IdrA, you slay me. You are the grumpiest player of all time. You honestly are. And it's so hilarious. You clicked on this looking for some weird IdrA stuff, didn't you? Sometimes he displays straight up games and wins and there's no rage or anything, and it's hilarious. You're IdrA! LeeCheaYoung is convinced. This is IdrA. This replay is from sometime before 2010, in case you were wondering. There's a fantastic post out on TeamLiquid.net where they just, somebody, I don't know who it was, they ended up posting a whole ton of replay packs for foreigners, including Wytra, including Straylock, including IdrA and Rhett and In Control and Morrow and Mondragon and so many players. So if you're interested in any foreigners from back in that day you want me to cast, I probably have access to them. Let me know in the comments if there's somebody else you want me to cast. That's how I find really fun players from back in that time. Really fun people to cast is that way. That's how I found Violet, I believe. Somebody suggested I cast some of his replays, and I have. Anyway, what are we doing? Hatch first here at about a 12 supply hatch, so 12 hatch first. Here out of Lee. Actually, he has another Overlord, so not technically a hatch first, but Overlord out, so whatever you want to call that. SCV cruising out to do some scouting. IdrA, known for his macro, known for his rage. Pretty good. Pretty good in TVZ, although we have seen Rhett take him down a couple times, which is no real shame. Rhett is ridiculously good at StarCraft, and one of those legends for sure. But yeah, I mean, one of the things I like to do on the channel, most of what I do actually is cast old replays from before Remastered and put them in the Remastered client. So they look prettier and crisper and you have access to all that cool stuff. Is that a third hatch? By golly, that is a third hatch before pool. Lee, what are you up to? Well, spamming chat for one thing. IdrA! IdrA, no! Bad IdrA! Stop being mean to people on ladder who don't know who you are. Well, they know who you are. You don't know who they are. Anyway, whatever. So 3 hatch before pool, before gas. This is incredibly greedy from Lee. I am 100% on board with this build. Ridiculously on board. Is he going double barracks opening? Double barracks opening here feels like a bit of a Marine medic style push with some fire bats as needed. Out of IdrA. He's going to try to punish this. If he scouted it, might as well try to punish it. That's what I do. When I scout a Nexus first on my Protoss opponents, I will absolutely send Lings out and try to murder it. Sometimes it doesn't work, surprisingly. You'd think I'd be able to if I drone scout, but sometimes Protoss are really good at the game, and I am not as good. I think that's what it generally boils down to. Overlord says, okay, so there's an expansion. At least I'm not dealing with a 1 base opening here from IdrA. That'd be the worst luck of all time. So yeah, Marine production here, even though he doesn't need it for defense. He knows he doesn't need it for defense. There are no Lings coming across the map right now because that pool just finished. Quick to lair. Quick to lair right now. So this SCV is like, what on earth is happening right now? I don't even... What is this build from Lee? It's got to be some kind of a Muta rush or something. He's got a second extractor coming up. He's got the third hatch. It's going to be like a Zergling Mutalisk style opening that hits really fast, which I'm on board with, by the way. The problem is, things like these, if they get scouted, they can be shut down. So we'll see. We'll see if this SCV can survive. Does Juke is approximately the same speed, a little bit slower than the Zerglings, and in a straight line will get caught, especially if they try to juke out of it sometimes. Jukes work sometimes, not other times. So, IdrA for the first time for a while is actually in the blind in this game, in the dark in this game. Creep colony up. Oh, come back, minimap. I need you for things. There you are. There you are, minimap. I like you so much. Yeah, this is a lot of bio. There's a lot of bio. This is stim. This is fire bats. This is medics. This is exactly what I figured IdrA would be going for here. He is producing an engineering bay for upgrades and turrets, recognizing the threat that Mutalisks can be, but it's going to be a Hydralisk den. So it's got to be lurker play is what it has to be right now. IdrA decides to move on out. He's like, well, either way, there's a timing here I can hit to where there's no lurkers and there are no Mutalisks yet. So let's go ahead and try to move out now. Oh, he's going Aspire too. Okay, so just started Aspire. And a Hydralisk den is done. What's he doing in the production tab? He's going to try to hold this with, like, slow... Whoa. Zerglings getting in, causing problems for the production. Oh, this is bad. SCV is forced to come off the line to try to deal with this. Drones actually trying to delay so the second Sunken can get in here. One Sunken, handful of Zerglings, go. If he can get a surround on this while the Sunken hammers away, he can actually hold this fairly effectively. Ooh, Firebat gets taken down as well. All the Zerglings are dead, as expected them to be. SCV's pretty good fighters, just because they can't heal themselves. They can be repaired by other units, but they themselves cannot repair themselves like drones and probes can, so that's why they're good fighters. They hit harder, they have more HP. Alright, so Zergling's out, and honestly, this Hydralisk den exists for no reason, as near as I can tell, for Lee. He made the Hydralisk den, immediately swapped into Spire and said, let's do that instead. Zergling's cruising across the map to try to get in here and jump on this natural base. Are we going to feel some IdrA rage here? I kind of feel like... What do you want to kill? Do you want to kill these guys? Do you want to kill... Oh my gosh, the burrow trap. He was getting burrow. Oh, 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 oh. Surprise, Zerglings! Whee! Oh, medics getting killed is such a problem for IdrA. No rage. No rage from that trap at all. By golly, 6 Mutalisks in production. IdrA has not forgotten the importance of actually making missile turrets. He's got those coming up now. Mute is joining the party. There are still 4 more in production, so we're looking at 7 or 8 or so. Look at him burrowing a handful of Zerglings over there for future shenanigans, I guess. He's trying to take down this missile turret. That's not going to work either. The placement of these units from IdrA are just fantastic. The bunker's really good. The detection's up, so the burrowedlings going down. When they're being attacked, they do unburrow themselves, which is something people were really interested in making sure that I knew back when I was casting that epic fastest map ever on Saturday, which if you didn't watch that between Hamburger Sasu and Lucky Back, holy crap. You don't want to miss it. I'm not going to spoil anything else. I'm just going to tell you, you do not want to miss that. You will... There's no way you watch that and say, Falcon, you wasted my time. Nope. It's a great game. Missile turret down. No, Mutalisk's dead. But this gets harder and harder to do as the game goes on. Just try to get stuff done with Mutalisks against a Terran player who knows there are Mutalisks out. They're really easy if they don't know there are Mutalisks around and haven't prepared for it, but at this point, it gets harder and harder to do. Lurker aspect is coming in, and there's a queen, and really a third base from Lee would be ideal, although I don't see any indication that he's going to be able to do it. He doesn't have a drone down here. That is, in fact, a Zergling. Mutas trying to make sure extra turrets don't exist at the natural, which is fine, but keeps taking shots. These Mutas are fairly injured. Can he get the other one? No, the Marines in position to nail it, protect it, and get shots off on those Mutalisks themselves. 3 lurkers in production. Is there a drone finally? Yeah. Third base coming in at 8 minutes and 48 seconds, which is just too late for Lee. He's in trouble right now. I mean, he's going for Hive, so why not? Why wouldn't you just go for Hive in this game? Anyway, Mutalisks, 6 of them here. 2 of them have gone down during these little shenanigans. But yeah, when that Hive's complete, we're going to see Dark Swarm. We're going to see Defilers with Plague. Might even see some Ultralisks here versus this largely Bio army, although the tank production has begun to a certain extent. Kind of curious to see if the Mutas are going to bother killing the tanks. They can't at this point. There's only 5 of them remaining, so that's not going to happen anyway. Lurkers burrowing in. I heard them. Where are they? Ooh, they're out here at the bottom of this ramp. Kind of feel like they could sneak in and burrow like here. Possibly, but then you get a scan and then you get tanks murdering you. So I don't know. Siege mode is on the way. Won't be here for some time. Third base for Lee is on the way. The aggression has really paid off for him thus far, I think. He's done some damage. He's kept IdrA at home for the most part anyway. IdrA hasn't really been able to do any economic damage to him at all. The trade-off is he has 35 drones at 53 SCVs. He really needs to saturate this third base now. Is he producing drones? He's producing drones. He's going for adrenal glands. He's getting a defiler mount. He knows all the things you need in order to beat somebody as good as IdrA is at this game. IdrA has been quiet since the opening salvo, where he questioned his opponent's mental capacities, which was a great opening. IdrA, man. The rage issues combined with the talent, right? Because if he just had rage issues, so what? That's everybody. That's not everybody, but there are so many people with stupid rage issues. Ah, the lurkers! Bruh! Causing major problems for that bio. Mulisks trying to kill what they can. Lurkers hiding against the backside. You can't really hide because there is a science vessel here and there are tanks. So murdering a lot of that bio was a good deal. Has to replace those Marines. IdrA's still pushing out. Still trying to get stuff done. Irradiate does take down the lurker, as we saw. Mulisks trying to get that one tank. And they're going to get it. All these lurkers are probably going to die, though. Great spread from IdrA. Just epic Gosu level spread right there. So third base getting saturated up from Lee. He's got defilers in production. He's working on Consume. Once Consume is done, that's where Lee is pretty much comfortable against this, where he can consume Zerglings and cast spells as much as he wants. It's a very large complaint for Protoss and Terran players. But without it, I think Zerg just dies pretty much to everything. Defilers are the great equalizer here. So, what are we going to do if we're IdrA? Gonna low ground tank harass at this natural base. The drones just evacuate immediately. They head on down to the third base. They don't want to die. This is pretty good positioning out of IdrA. And again, that's the thing about IdrA. He's good. Really good at StarCraft. And a really big jerk at the same time. There's your Consume. There's your Consume. Where's your Dark Swarm? There it is. Dark Swarm up. Get out of that position, guys. You're going to take some spines to the face. And that was it. IdrA was hoping to get in here before that happened. But, you know, Lee was rushing towards Hive and managed to get it done. Dark Swarm is up. Great Equalizer is complete. Bottom right-hand base has got a lot of Sunkens at it, and another creep colony is not quite sure what it wants to be at this point in its life. And there's Plague. All right, so Plague is on the way. It's really just more of the same out of IdrA. He's going for Widow Mines, actually. That's fairly new. Widow Mines, more Science Vessels, more Medics. Really trying to get those Science Vessels down, but it's not going well for him at all. Dark Swarm, Scourge accomplish literally nothing. And our Defiler dies without really having done anything but two middle-of-the-road Defiler Swarms here. So Dark Swarms are better when used in defense, or when used in offense, right on top of an enemy base. In the middle of the map, the Terran player can just avoid them. It's good. Totally fine. Firebat gets on in, splash damage causing some problems here. See, really, is IdrA, like, offering his units to die next to this Dark Swarm for some reason? Seems like he kind of is. Ooh, new Dark Swarm comes up. Spines doing some damage. Here is the trail. Here's the trail of swarms chasing IdrA away. The Irradiates coming down on those lurkers. Really super effective. Got a small group of bios sneaking around the bottom right-hand side of the map. Can they get through this sunken colony defense, which Lee has tossed up right now? It's 46 to 59 Harvesters. IdrA has the lead for sure at this stage. His macro has never been in question at all. Let's see if Lee can do this thing. IdrA looking at going for, well, he's got a third base up here. I think he landed on top of that SCV and got out anyway. Engagement in the middle. Nice. Keeping the Science Vessels alive is so key. It is ridiculously key right now for IdrA. If you can keep those Science Vessels alive, good things are going to happen. That is one of the better plagues I've ever seen. That plague. Wow. Catching a lot of that bio. Catching the tanks. Making the medics desperately heal up. In a situation where they can never heal fully up because they don't heal fast enough to deal with the results of the plague on these units. Oh, the jelly. Oh, the jelly. Keeping them down. Very, very low HP. And keeping the army back for the time being. They don't really want to engage with anything that can hit them because they're so fragile at the moment. Additional units coming in, though. It's 169 to 83 supply. The Zerg player is in trouble. In immense amounts of trouble right now. It looks like Yeah, it looks like Lee wants to expand at the top here, 12 o'clock for his 4th. Will he be allowed to is more of the question here. +2 attack and +1. Ooh, couple science vessels down. Never mind. How did you miss with that one? I don't know what happened there, but that was infuriating. As a Zerg main, who is not as good as Lee is here, but anyway, Scourge not getting the job done. Just firing in. As soon as anything comes out of that Dark Swarm, it's instantly dead. Lurkers taking splash damage from the tanks, firing on other stuff in here. See what I'm talking about? Splash damage. Slowly but surely whittling this stuff down. 183 to 82 supply. IdrA has this thing well in hand. I really don't know what else to say here. It looks like he is transitioning into mech a little bit. He is working on further infantry upgrades, working on that armor. The Vultures trying to take down Defilers, not really accomplishing much. If Zerglings can kill anything, they're going to have a good time. Again, the Dark Swarm in the middle of the map does not serve the Zerg player. Look at that plague on all of those science vessels. This is where you make one Mutalisk and get in there and try to wipe those guys out. Okay, how many? Wow, Lurker top of the ramp versus these Marines. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Zerglings on top of these Marines. Bam, 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 bam. Missing. What the heck does missing mean? Boy, I don't know. That Defiler, bad rally. But Sunken's problematic for this army for sure. Scourge! Goodbye all of the science vessels. And IdrA is in a lot of trouble all of a sudden here. All he's got left down here are medics. A handful of Zerglings could come down and wipe them out. And it seems like they're trying to do so with their +2 armor and +1 attack. And yeah, they are all dead. So all of the medics dying is a big deal for IdrA. He likes to keep spellcasters alive. Everybody likes to keep spellcasters alive. Losing every one of the science vessels and all of these medics is a massive problem. That said, he's still up 170 to 99 total supply. The Zerg player has still not been allowed to take a 5th base. I guess he got a 4th down here, which is minerals only, which is fine. Is that a burrowed Zergling? Why are there burrowed Zerglings in random spots? I guess those are overlords. It's just the one burrowed Zergling, I suppose. Drop ships coming into the main, allowed to unload before anything responds to them at all. And suddenly we're looking at well, ooh, that dropship is not dead. This drop is pretty effective. Defiler Mound going down is a big stinking deal. We've already said how much Defilers are a great equalizer for Zerg, and that Defiler Mound is not long for this world. And in fact, it is really close to dead. Zerglings are not able to save it. A lot of this bio is going to die too, but I think that is a fair trade for IdrA. Yeah, the Lurkers are more of a problem than the Zerglings are at this stage. They are getting additional upgrades. Replacement Defiler Mound has already started. I think he started that before the original one died, if I had to guess. Defiler, for some reason, wandering up in range of those Marines with their +2/+2. And just macroing his heart out, coming to the middle of the map with his units. 183 to 103 supply. He's totally fine losing the armies he's been losing. Because, holy crap, he can macro. He's got a top left base, too, that Zerglings are going to destroy. Unfortunately for IdrA. I think he can afford to lose it, though. He's been playing pretty well that way. And a lot of SCVs down. I guess the base itself is not going to die because IdrA's reaction time was fast enough to save it. Could maybe get a base up there. Could definitely do it. This is a bit of a Terran-favored map just because this tank positioning on that base is brutal. We've seen LeeCheaYoung play Flash on this map, and that's exactly what Flash did. He's just like, oh, you're trying to take these bases? We'll just set up a tank on the other side of a wall and wreck your stuff, and it's really hard for you to reach that. Have fun. And this stuff, too. This low-ground tank positioning is really brutal at the same time. Yeah, 193 to 103 supply right now. This is not going to happen for Lee. IdrA probably not going to give us any BM. It's usually more of a when he loses kind of a thing. And at this point, I just don't see him losing. We're 19 minutes into this match. The tanks have no upgrades at all, but it doesn't really matter because everything Zerg has on the ground right now is super squishy. Even Ultras don't do very well against, unupgraded tanks. Lurker's trying to burrow on in. Zergling is trying to do what they can. It's really just Marine, which is really more insult to injury here. That this is working for IdrA, because Marines shouldn't be any good at all when Dark Swarm is involved. And suddenly, IdrA's going to lose a few of these tanks. Scourge, what the jukes. Nope, Science Vessel down anyway. Reinforcing Marines attacking their way on in right now. Tanks continuing to fire. 9 kills and 4 kills and 9 kills on these tanks. Trying to push up the ramp where a lurker does exist. There's no detection here either. IdrA making a bit of a mistake attacking into the situation where there's a lurker and he can't even see it. Double Dark Swarm. Bit of a tick, I would say, out of Lee. A little bit of a mess up there, unfortunately. We got to attack on the left side with lurkers coming on in. Irradiating all of the things in the mix. Another great plague on these units. Another great plague is so good. Are these dropships still sitting here? They sure are, and they're certainly still empty. Alright, so I mean, Lee, 115 supply. He is struggling mightily. He can't do anything about this top left base. IdrA's expanding everywhere on planet Earth right now. Tank down largely to friendly fire. Oh my gosh, he's going for it. He's... Okay. I mean, IdrA has a lot of units left there, but that's a lot of dead Terran too. 98 to 184. IdrA has a massive lead. He's still trying to make sure no base comes up here. He's really just trying to starve the Zerg player out at this point. If I had to guess, these medics have no energy for healing. Some of them do, actually. I guess they're probably new to the party, if I had to guess on that. Small group of bio down south trying to make sure that Lee doesn't expand here. They're all going to die in their duty, which they're probably okay with. Lurkers on the high ground, not doing super well without Dark Swarm, as it turns out. Scourge chasing the Science Vessels, accomplishing 1 Science Vessel down. Zerglings jumping on this, and suddenly, what is even happening right now? That is 2 direct engagements that Lee is winning handily here. The problem is he needs additional bases, and the person taking additional bases is IdrA. He's taking this 12 o'clock. Okay, Zerg player's taking the 6. Lee is going for the 6 o'clock base, which he needs more than he's needed anything else in his entire life right now. Zerglings throwing their lives away on this bio, not great. +3/+2 with adrenal glands. They are very scary indeed. Topside base needs some lurker support to get in there. That's just too much. That is too... No, what did I just say? That's too much. Okay. 116 to 111. Lee has been in worse places today. Oh, but the Science Vessels... Okay. Science Vessels down. That's massive stuff. Lurkers are trying to burrow on in to cause problems here. A plague on that group would be disgustingly good. Dark Swarm, maybe even better. The pathing a little bit messed up for these lurkers too. Coming up the other side, we've got Hydras in the mix now. If this base goes down, are these lurkers alive? Are they alive for a while? Yes, they are alive for a while, it would seem. Lee spending his money. He's a little bit gas-starved right now, which is a problem. All he can really make are Zerglings at the moment. His lurkers keep getting picked out of the ground here. If the lurkers moved up a little bit, I think they could hit that base. Maybe not. Surprise! Flank attack! Whoa! IdrA did not see that coming. Dark Swarming it up. Tank down. Everybody in trouble. Another Dark Swarm would be super good. And it is. Dude, Lee is somehow holding on in this game in a way I have never seen a Zerg player do in my entire life. IdrA continues to have a massive advantage on him throughout this entire match. And yet, Lee is not dead yet. Yet, he is still able to win engagements. He's still able to keep bases alive, and that's a huge part of winning this game. Irradiating those lurkers is a problem. Get on in there. Get on in. You gotta wipe this base out now. Engaging with fire bats is not a super great idea for your Zerglings. Lurkers are down. Defending group is down, but reinforcing fire bats are on the way. SCVs keep getting murdered, and by that I mean that guy is totally fine. He got saved by his fire bat buddies. And it's 168 to 104. I feel like I keep saying this over and over and over again, that IdrA is way up in supply in a way that I don't know that Lee can win this game, but he keeps winning engagements. The fire bat play here is so good. Another Science Vessel does go down. Lurkers in, no Dark Swarm to protect them. This might be it for Lee. His Dark Swarm placement has been so good and so key in this game today, and it just hasn't been around for the last couple of engagements. I don't see any Defilers. He really can't afford them. He's sitting at 68, 70 gas right now. He needs this gas income at the 6 o'clock immediately. There's the irradiates. on the hiders that are trying to pick off these science vessels from a distance. North base still alive for IdrA right now. And yes, technically, Lee does have this one down south. I just wonder how much longer it's going to last. How much longer can it possibly last right here? This game might get an epic tag just for how hard Lee is fighting right now against somebody who's probably a superior player. I mean, it's 181 and 98 supply, and I feel like I've said that 4 or 5 times today, and yet it doesn't matter. Any other game that I've ever cast where this supply discrepancy exists, the person who's down just dies within the next 2 or 3 minutes every time. But Lee is not interested in death. Lee is interested in fighting to the very bitter end here. Defiler does show up, throws down a quick consume, tosses down a Dark Swarm, and again, Lee manages to survive, if just barely. These cracklings, man. These dudes with their +3 attack, oh, just kidding, +2 attack, and +3 armor. Fire Bats in the mix for IdrA right now is just abject genius, though. It's really good stuff. This base still helping immensely. 195 to 95 supply. Additional Zerglings in production. Fire Bats don't care about your Dark Swarm as much. IdrA does have, or rather, Lee does have this income, this gas income at the 6 o'clock position, which is going to help him a lot. He is sitting at about 300 gas. Allows for more Defilers, but you also need the army to take advantage of the Dark Swarms you're tossing down. Eggs getting out of here. Too many Science Vessels. Dark Swarm up. Again, it's holding IdrA back. Another Dark Swarm up, further pushing IdrA back. We just irradiate the Defilers. They get a couple Dark Swarms into their lifespans, and that is about it. Yeah, if this base dies, I think that's it for Lee. Top base going down here, too. This is insane. This is an insane match. Absolutely crazy. SCV is getting massacred right now. Drones down south doing a lot better than I thought they would, based on the army that was heading down to kill them. SCV is retreating and running for their lives. And then just a million Science Vessels in the mix, and this is how you win games. This is it. You just make a million Science Vessels and call it a good day. Zerglings trying to find a couple of unattended tanks, and they do, trying to find a few Marines that they can kill. And they do, but losing the 6 o'clock is such a problem. The 12 o'clock is actually still alive for IdrA. SCVs are coming back in to start mining there again. 199 to 107 supply. And I know the comments are going to say, why didn't IdrA just go for mech? It's a fair question, honestly. Why aren't there a million tanks? Those Fire Bats, though. That's the key. If your opponent is doing this crazy stuff with basically Zergling Lurker, there you go. Good game. Rematch, says Lee. He's left the game. IdrA continuing to murder in, and then he's done as well. Whoa. 28 minutes and 11 seconds. What an absolutely crazy ZVT. Does this deserve an epic tag? I'm not sure if it does. IdrA was up a lot in supply for about 15 minutes here. Let me know in the comments what you think. Boy, IdrA's macro, Lee's control, Dark Swarm, Plague, upgrades. But yeah, once you have, 6 or 7 Science Vessels that you can keep alive, that makes it a little bit easier because you can irradiate every single Defiler that comes out. And yeah, once again, just a game of economics here. IdrA was on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bases for most of the game there. This one got harassed a couple times, but largely still alive. And the southern base was just not really something that Lee was able to hang on to for very long at all. He was late getting it, he was late holding on to it, and then he lost it in the end. And that was huge. So, great game, man. Great game by both these players. I gotta find more LeeCheaYoung here games. He's a ton of fun to cast. Like, ridiculously tons of fun to cast. Snap. So hit that like button if you enjoyed what you saw there. Let's go ahead and check out that final score. We're looking at 194,000 points for IdrA and 187,000 points for Lee. 700 Zerg units died today. 934 were produced. Structures raised, and then overall resources, really, really stupid close. Lee actually outspent IdrA in that game. How? How did he outspend IdrA? IdrA was on more bases the whole time. He was spending his money. More gas mined, fewer minerals mined, because again, a lot of Marines came out, but a lot of Zerglings too from Lee. And then total spent 54,000 to 55,000. Lee has the lead there. That's insanity. I didn't know how that happened. Anyway, really good stuff. If it was epic, let me know in the comments, but that's going to be it from me today. So this has been Falcon Paladin coming at you with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered. Go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe if you like what you saw and what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and Twitch, all at /Falcon Paladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching, and you take care of yourself.